universities for us were almost like sacred places. We never imagined that an attack would happen at an institution of higher learning like it has. And so most young people are actually very shaken and afraid that the places they thought were perhaps the safest places are actually as well vulnerable to attacks.
So now we're talking about how they feel. Are the students going back to school? They don't feel safe. What have you heard?
Well, at the moment, the Garissa University College has been closed indefinitely by the Minister for Education because obviously they have suffered tremendous trauma from this attack. And we don't know yet if this particular university in Garissa will be reopened. There's been some calls from different people that it should be closed permanently, while others, debate that in fact we should show the terrorists that they cannot win by reopening this university at a much later date, improving security, and perhaps even building memorial monuments at the campus.
So were you at the vigils last night?
I wasn't because I was in fact in my hometown, but I was able to follow most TV stations in Kenya carried the vigil live from Uhuru Park in Nairobi. So I was able to follow what was happening. Most of the young people, in fact, who are there at this vigil had even never been to Garissa themselves, but they felt the connection. For many families in Kenya, sending a kid to university is really an achievement. And I've heard stories of many of these families who sacrificed a lot just to be able to send their kids to university, and then something like this happens. So there was a great show of solidarity from the young people at the vigil last night.
Al-Shabaab has a lot of young members and many from upper-class families. Since you work directly with the youth, as a Catholic, how do you help kids choose an alternate path?
When it was revealed that, in fact, one of the terrorists in this attack was trained in law at the University of Nairobi a few years ago, came from a relatively middle-class family, father, son of a government official, people realize that, it's no longer about the economic and social status that only that people are attracted to join groups like Al-Shabaab, but that there is a very strong, ideological, war that's going on that gets young people like the young man a well-trained lawyer who went to join this group. So it's even more. It's more about providing opportunities, yes, for people to, for example, find employment, but also that they feel that there is social inclusion in the country, that they feel that they are part of the wider Kenya society.
New reports come out that say it took 7 hours for the police to respond to the attack, and that the terror warning was increased, and there were fears of attack on a soft target. What is the reaction to these reports?
The fact that they are based in Nairobi, it's 5-hour drive from Nairobi to Garissa, but people are wondering why, for example, a chopper wasn't made available to them. But there's a military base right in Garissa, so the first responders were the local police and the military units. But it's not clear why these military units were not able to end the siege. By the time the Recce squad was brought in to do that. Maybe it's an issue of specialization, but there's also been reports of tough wars between the different security agencies.
And now the airstrikes have been launched on Al-Shabaab camps in Somalia. Is that move receiving support in Kenya?
That's an interesting question, because what I've seen so far is there hasn't been much coverage, for example, in the local press about these airstrikes. I think people are continuously realizing that it's not about just the military might that's going to win this war. That there is also a very strong ideological war behind what's going on. There has to be very strong social and economic structures that have to be set up, especially in the northeast and in the coastal parts of the country, where you still have many young people who feel disenfranchised because of lack of opportunities in their communities. So I think people have realized that in addition to the military campaigns that are going on inside Somalia to destroy and to dismantle the infrastructure of the Al-Shabaab there has to be equal measures inside Kenya itself.